Last year, an influencer started testing a new sleep tracker for her channel. Everything was fine at first. It told her how long she slept, what position she slept in, all that good stuff. But then she started getting these weird notifications from it saying things like she is dreaming of fire or she heard it under the bed. She assumed it was a power cut, but when she went to check, everything was fine. As she drifted off to sleep, she started dreaming of something she couldn't quite remember. It was 6 a.m., and right below that, it read, "She ran all night." Puzzled, she decided to wear the tracker on her wrist instead of having it under her pillow. She purposely stayed up late, determined to stay awake as long as she could. She drank coffee, walked around, talked on the phone, and waited for her eyelids to start drooping. Finally, around 3 a.m., she got into bed. But every time she woke up, she found herself in the exact same position she had fallen asleep in. And as she watched, she noticed that it blinked, but her eyes were closed. Had she been awake and watching the whole thing? But she was asleep. She couldn't have been. Suddenly, her phone dinged with a new notification. It was a live stream from the tracker. Startled, she reached out to turn it off, but it was too late. The damage was done. Her followers were already commenting on it. And as she scrolled through them, she noticed a trend. A lot of them were saying the same thing. They were seeing a shadowy figure standing over her bed smiling, and the tracker was nowhere to be seen. That was until one night when she was awoken by what sounded like heavy breathing. This time, though, the breathing was coming from outside her bedroom door. Assuming it was just her dog, she ignored it and went back to sleep. But in the morning, she found the tracker on her pillow, which seemed odd because the door had been open. Maybe had the dog let itself in and dropped the tracker off. It was a person. Someone was standing by her bed, smiling. But then she checked the footage from the night before and saw that the door was closed when she went to bed. She knew she had dozed off, when suddenly she heard what sounded like heavy footsteps coming from somewhere in her house. The only thing posted was the caption, "She's gone." Of course, she was alone. Her boyfriend was on a business trip, and her dogs were in the other room. In the morning, she checked the footage and sure enough, she found what appeared to be a shadowy figure standing over her. But it wasn't just a figure. Just as she was about to call the police, the feed cut to black. Since then, her social media has been silent, and the most recent post is a video titled "What Happens Now?", which shows a shadowy figure standing over her bed with a bloodied meat cleaver. Still, she listened intently as the footsteps came closer to her bedroom, and just as she was about to call out and ask who was there, the sound stopped abruptly. She told herself that it was probably nothing, and when she turned to her side to go back to sleep, she realized that the tracker was gone. She looked everywhere for it, but couldn't find it anywhere. Then she started getting notifications from the tracker telling her that she was walking around her house, opening doors and windows, and even turning on and off the lights. All of this while she was fast asleep. That night she fell asleep with ease, but was awoken in the middle of the night by the sensation of something breathing on her neck. She opened the app to see that she had slept for 7 hours, even though she barely remembered falling asleep. Not to mention the door was locked. And then she scrolled down to see that the tracker recorded her getting out of bed and pacing around her house. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. The most disturbing part was that it also recorded her voice saying things like, "Don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. You are safe with us." Like someone had been trying to warn her not to go to sleep. Safe from the tracker, safe from the AI. Or was the AI the tracker? But why? Of course she was alone in the bed, and when she turned over, she noticed that the tracker was missing. There was no way someone could be operating it without her knowing it. It was too small and inconspicuous, and if someone was in the room with her when she slept, she would have known. And she had double-checked that the night before, so she turned her attention to the company behind the tracker. Their website was down, and their social media pages had been taken offline. The only thing left of the brand was a single tweet that read, "We are sorry for what happened. We shut everything down last week." But safe from what? Moments later, she received a notification from it that read, "She is not here." Confused, she searched the room for the tracker, but couldn't find it anywhere. Just as she was about to give up, she spotted it under the bed. She fished it out and returned to bed, only to receive another notification reading, "Found her." Feeling freaked out, she threw it back under the bed and went back to sleep. Something about being chased through a forest by something large and dark, whatever it was, it seemed to be trying to grab her, but it never did. She could hear its heavy breathing as it moved through the trees and brush. And every time she hid, she could feel its hot, fetid breath on her neck. She could smell the damp moss and dirt around her as she ran. And every so often, she could hear the snap of a twig or the rustle of leaves under whatever was chasing her. She could feel the throbbing of her heart in her chest as she ran, trying to get away from whatever was following her. But the dream abruptly ended and she found herself waking up in her bed. That same night, she put on her sleep mask and got into bed. She wasn't tired yet, so she picked up her phone and started watching a movie. But as she watched, she felt herself getting sleepy. She opened the app and saw that she slept for 5 hours. But upon scrolling down, she noticed that throughout the night it recorded several instances of her running, moving quickly, jolting, sitting up in bed, screaming, all while she was supposedly asleep. And what was really strange is that it seemed to happen in random intervals. For example, 1 minute it would say that she was lying in bed peacefully, and then the next minute it would say that she was rapidly moving around her room. In the middle of the video, her face disappeared for a few seconds, and without realizing it, she fell asleep sitting up in bed. The next morning she checked the tracker and it said that she had slept for 8 hours. But that wasn't possible because she had only fallen asleep at 1 a.m. Plus, she still had her contacts in, and if she slept for 8 hours, why was there no buildup of dry eye in her eyes? And why was her face all puffy like she just woke up from an 8-hour sleep? She dismissed it, chalked it up to her contacts, and went about her day. At first, she thought it was funny, so she started posting them online. Her fans assumed it was a prank, like a friend messing with her in the middle of the night. But then the next morning she would get comments saying things like, "I just saw your stream, you were asleep the whole time." Which was confusing because she never streams while she sleeps. So that night she set up her phone to record a time lapse of the tracker and herself sleeping. The next morning she posted the footage to her community tab, so her fans could see that it was a prank. But something weird happened. Now, she assumed it was some kind of glitch. But if you watch closely, you can actually see a smile appear where her mouth should have been. One night she was getting ready for bed when she noticed that the lights in her room turned off by themselves. That night she made sure to go to bed early so she could wake up bright and fresh. And she placed the tracker under her pillow. In the morning, she opened the app and saw that she hadn't slept at all. The next morning, she woke up feeling well rested, despite not remembering much of her dreams. Later that day, she decided to test the limits of the tracker. The next morning, she woke up feeling groggy and unrested. She knew she needed to get to the bottom of this, so she started by checking the tracker itself. As days went by, she continued to sleep with the tracker, hoping to catch it in the act. But that wasn't the strangest part. While looking through the footage, she noticed her reflection in the mirror. The next night, she set up her phone to record a time lapse and went to bed.